Good morning, WMNJ listeners. You're tuned in to the Honeycomb Hideout on WMNJ Madison 88.9 FM, where praise and inspiration are sweet to the soul and nourishing to the bones. We have a special guest in the studio with us this morning. Reverend Alan Paul Weaver III is with us, author, preacher, missionary, teacher, and dreamer, which means there's so much more to come.
All right.
Say hello to the people this morning.
Hello, people. How are you?
We're delighted to have Reverend Weaver, my friend Alan. What should I call you on the show? Okay. We're delighted to have Alan on the show with us this morning. We are going to just talk about the goodness of God, the way God has moved in his life, some of his work, and just have a good time in the Lord this morning. So join us, sit back, relax, and enjoy.
A tribute to my mother. Full of compassion and faith, so loving and graceful. I shared her essence for 9 months as she carried me, as she dreamed of my future. The strongest woman I have ever known. She's been by my side to guide me, always ready to wipe away my tears. Through the pain, her heart cried out in prayer for my soul. In my formative years, I took her for granted. I didn't understand. But now I realize her true worth. A priceless display of heavenly glory in an earthen vessel. My mother.
Wow. That was a tribute to your mom.
Yes. Yep.
That was a lovely tribute to your mother, not just because I know her, but because because it was truly a heartfelt testimony from a young man. When did you write that?
It's been a few years. My book, it took me 10 years to write my book. So somewhere within that 10-year period, I wrote a tribute to my mother.
Okay.
In the book, I also have a tribute to my father and my brother. So that was early on within the 10 years.
Okay, awesome. And we're going to talk more about the book, Transition, Breaking Through the Barriers by Alan Paul Weaver III in a second. But we want to talk about who you are, where you're from, and all that good stuff. We know that you shared your mom's essence for 9 months, you said in the poem. So what have you been doing since then?
Well, after my birth, I was born in Florida.
Okay.
In D-Land, Florida. And my family, we lived in Daytona Beach and did a short period in Atlanta, and then we moved up to New York right before I turned 6.
Okay.
And was raised in New Rochelle, New York, and up until college, and then went back to Florida for college, to Bethune-Cookman University, where I studied speech mass communication.
Yes.
So that's the short version.
Okay, that's the short version of the story. And I'll chime in a little bit there, in that Alan mentioned that he was raised from 6 until he went off to college in New Rochelle, New York. We met at the Bethesda Baptist Church in New Rochelle, New York, where Alan's father, Dr. Weaver, is our pastor. And it's my pastor. And so I think this is a good time to kind of segue into to what it means to be the son of a pastor. We know that you are an ordained minister in the Baptist Church, and what your call was like. You're the son of a preacher. I think you're the grandson of a preacher as well.
I'm the nephew. Of a preacher.
Of a preacher. Yes. Okay, so there are preachers in the family. And
my dad's cousin was a preacher. My great uncle was a preacher. There's a few of us.
Okay. And did you feel like that was something you had to do? Was it in the blood?
No, actually. My dad was always adamant about not pushing me in that direction.
Okay.
And when I finally did accept the call to preach while I was in college, I was resisting for a really long time.
Okay.
And when I finally called my dad up and said, "Hey, Dad, I've accepted the call," and he was like, "Okay." I was like, "Okay, what are you talking about? You know, I thought you'd be really excited." And he said, "Son, you know, never let it be said that I pushed you into this.
Right.
You know, if you can go through your entire life without having to preach, then fine. But if you feel like you have to preach, like it's, you know, fire shut up in your bones, then you know that you've been called."
Right, and that's an amazing testimony because there are so many people I know who may have been raised in the church, or the family or their family are ministers or clergy or they work in other areas of the church, and they feel this push. And that they don't necessarily have a relationship with Christ for themselves, but in fact it's sort of this vicarious relationship with Christ. So that's awesome that that God called you, not just because you were the son of a pastor, but because you are you, and he had a great work for Alan the third to do. And I love that you're the third. I mean, I love your father too, but there's something special about the number 3. It is symbolic of, you know, God and God's community, and Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. But also, we know on the third day, Jesus got up. Right, he rose. So we're excited that you are the resurrected life. You are resurrected life in this space with us today. Okay. We have a couple minutes before the next song, or a couple seconds before the next song comes on. Tell us a little bit about the book, if you can.
Well, it's called Transition, Breaking Through the Barriers. It's a collection of poetry, short story, and short essay from different experiences and observations in my life. It took me about 10 years to write.
Okay.
That's a whole story in and of itself.
Okay.
And it came out in June of 2006.
Awesome. So the book came out June of 2006. We're going to hear some more pieces from the book. We'll talk a little bit about it. It's very interesting. I've read the book several times. I've had the pleasure of reading it. And it ministers to me, and it truly is God speaking to his people through you and through your experience. And so the next song we're going to hear is MADISON, God Speaking.
God Speaking.
Hear it.